My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Hello, sports card investors. I'm Jeff Wilson, and today we've got another great episode. We are going to be talking about cards you can buy today for under $10 that I think have the chance of becoming worth $100 or more. These are cards that you can potentially get a 10x return on your investment if you buy. Man, this is a great time of year, isn't it? I mean, not only are we getting to talk sports cards, but we got football going on. The first week of NFL last week was awesome. College football was fun as well. And I love this time of year because you know what? Sports card buyers overreact like crazy. And it's fun to watch. You know, it was fun to see Lamar Jackson last week throw all those touchdowns against the Dolphins. And then it was fun to go on eBay and watch Lamar Jackson's card prices go up and up and up and up and up. Oh, man. And then, of course, there was this guy named Gardner Minshew. Who knew who Gardner Minshew was before last week? But he comes in for Nick Foles. Not only does he come in for Nick Foles, but he actually completes 88% of his passes, which is the highest of any quarterback in NFL history in his first game. And as this is happening, people are buying up his cards. His card prices are going up like crazy. All of a sudden, this guy is a hero, right? And then, of course, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Baker Mayfield is now in the clearance aisle. Well, truthfully, not really in the clearance aisle. You know, the people who are holding Baker cards are not exactly going to sell those for a lower price point off of one bad game. But man, it was a bad game. And it does make you wonder if the Browns are not able to live up to the hype this year. And they had a lot of hype going into this year. What's that going to mean for Baker's cards? What's that going to mean for OBJ's cards? Are some people going to get hurt on those cards? I don't know. It will be interesting to see what happens this weekend with the Browns, who are facing off with the Jets. That's going to be a really interesting game because, of course, a lot of people have been on Sam Darnold from a card investment standpoint this year. So we've kind of got the collision of the 0-1 Jets and the 0-1 Browns and Baker and Sam and what is going to happen to their sports card prices after this weekend. One of them could start dropping if their team goes to 0-2. So all of that's going to be interesting to watch. And then, of course, Zion Mania is upon us as well. Zion Mania has gone crazy. I was pleased to see, I don't know if you saw, but there was a card of his on eBay. One of his first Contenders cards that got pulled out of the new Contenders draft release, which came out last week, that quickly went up to like $99,000 in bids. Turned out those bids were fake. Which makes me think that, the industry is not quite as crazy as I thought it was for a minute there. So that's come back down to earth a little bit. But nonetheless, Zion Mania is here, and it is here to stay. And that is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So this fall and winter, man, what a great time to be thinking about sports cards from an investment standpoint, because you are going to see a lot happening in the sports card industry. It's going to be really, really fun to watch. So on top of all of that great stuff happening in the sports world that I'm really excited about, I'm also really, really excited about this show. So I put out an episode a few days ago called Sports Card Investing 101. It was kind of the basics of sports card investing for people who are new getting into investing. It got over 2,500 views in 3 days, and that thing is climbing and climbing. That's awesome to see. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for sharing the video. I'm sure a lot of you out there had shared that with people, and that really helped that grow. I really appreciate it. I'm over 1,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel now. And I'm only 10 videos in, so that's pretty awesome to have over 1,000 subscribers. And what it shows me is that there are a lot of you out there that want to talk about sports card investing and want to think about sports cards from an investment standpoint. And that is exactly what I am here to try to provide for you. And so I really appreciate the support and the subscriptions. I appreciate the reviews. And if you haven't had a chance to review yet on Apple Podcast, I appreciate that. And I certainly appreciate all the subscribes on YouTube. So thank you certainly for doing that. So to celebrate what has been a great run so far for this show and many, many great episodes to come ahead, I'm going to do a special contest on today's show. So I am about to talk about cards that are less than 10 bucks, but that I think could become worth 100 bucks or more. And for one listener to today's episode, I am going to give you your choice of any of the cards that I talk about in today's episode for free. I will ship it to you for free. You pick out which card you want. I will find that card for you, buy that card for you, and ship that card for you absolutely for free. All you have to do to enter is, first of all, you have to be a subscriber. So you have to be a subscriber on YouTube or on podcasts. You have to be a subscriber. Once you're a subscriber, all you have to do to enter is go to my website, sportscardinvestor.com. And right below kind of the main picture area, there's a box that says get free sports card investing tips by email. Simply put in your email address there. I promise I'm not going to send you a whole bunch of spam. I actually haven't even sent out any of these emails yet, but I'm about to create an email that will start going out periodically, probably not too often, but when I see a good deal, I'll let everybody know about it. So it's a great thing to sign up for. It's totally for free. And there's a great reason to sign up today, because I am going to give one of the new subscribers who sign up for that email list, I'm going to give them any card they want from today's show. So pause this right now, go to my website, sportscardinvestor.com, go take care of that. Just put your email address in there, subscribe, come back here. And now let's talk about sports cards. So this is a big challenge. You know, and this challenge today came from some of my listeners. So I've had some listeners who have commented on the show in the YouTube comments, or they have joined my Discord channel, which is our free chat server to talk about sports card investing. I recommend you join that. The way you can join that is listed in the show notes. And they've gone on there and they've said, hey, the show's great, but all of the cards you're talking about are expensive. And I don't necessarily want to drop that much money on a card. So what cards can I buy for under 10 bucks that actually from an investment standpoint could have a really solid return? And I said, you know what? First of all, that's a very, very fair question, right? I recognize that, you know, sports cards, this is discretionary spending. This is not essential spending in your life. And so, you know, only put into it what you're comfortable with, right? And even though I am talking about sports cards from an investment standpoint, I recognize that sports card investing is very, very risky, and I would never recommend that somebody put too much of their own personal livelihood into sports cards. So this should be discretionary money that you realize there's an opportunity that you can lose. Now, I think that you will get paid back in the next few years, because I think that this hobby and this market is going to go up and up and up. We've seen that in recent years, but it's risky and something could happen. The economy could start to go down, and if the economy starts to go down, sports cards are going to go right down with it and probably fall pretty hard. So be aware that sports cards are a risky investment. So I completely understand why you may want to be looking at lower dollar sports cards, because, you know, when I'm sitting on here and I'm talking about, you know, all the Prism silvers and basketball that you should buy, you know, I recognize that, like, you know, a lot of these cards are $100 or a couple $100 that I'm talking about. And so this episode is going to focus on those cards that are less than $10. And hopefully we'll find some really good values that will, over time, prove out to be really, really worthwhile. But I have to say, this is a really tough thing, because the cards that I want to give you, when I'm talking about cards under 10 bucks, I want to give you cards that can become worth $100 or more. It's not really, I don't think it's really that exciting if I say, hey, buy this guy's card for 10 bucks, and then it goes on to be worth like 15 or 20 bucks. You know, great. Yeah, you made 2 times your money. If it's worth 20 bucks, that's a good percentage ROI, but are you going to get that excited that your $10 card went to 20 bucks? But if I could give you some cards that go from $10 to $100, then I suspect you and me and everyone listening is going to be pretty excited about that. But that's tough, because now you're talking about a 1,000% ROI. You're talking about a 10x gain. And in any type of investment or purchasing of anything, trying to predict something that could go up like that is almost impossible. And I started to go back and look at some of my recommendations in the past. Like, let's say, for example, I did an episode where I talked about a lot of basketball guys who I feel like are good values right now. So, for example, one guy I talked about out of this year's rookie class, Jaren Jackson Jr., his Prism Silver PSA 10s are going right now for around $100. Now, I think that's a good buy. I think he's a good value. I think his cards are going to go up. I think Memphis is a team that's on the rise. I think he's going to get a lot of good attention, and those card prices will go up. However, I don't ever think they're going to be worth $1,000. I don't think those cards are ever going to go 10x. I think a good return on him, if his $100 card goes to $300, I think that's a really good return. And I think that's an opportunity where, okay, they're up at $300, $400, maybe we sell out at that point in time and be happy with the ROI. But if you had a $10 Jaren Jackson card, it's going to go up to maybe 30 or 40, if I'm correct. That's good, but we're looking to see, can we push the envelope a little bit further? So I actually don't think basketball is a sport where you can really do that. The only way I think in basketball that you could find a card that could really go up 10x in value in a relatively short period of time, next few years, right, would be if you picked a guy who was low in the draft, like a second round draft pick, who nobody really expected to do a whole lot, and he really came on and surprised. But that's few and far between in basketball. You don't see that happen a lot in basketball. It did happen this past year with Mitchell Robinson. He was a low pick for the Knicks and came out and had a great rookie year, and there's a lot of enthusiasm about him going into next year. But the other problem is that by the time the basketball sets come out with these guys in their NBA jerseys, like by the time Prism comes out, these guys have already been on the court for a little while. And so a guy like Mitchell Robinson had already started to build a little bit of hype, by the time his Prism cards came out. So you could buy, Contenders Draft, you could buy some of the early cards of these guys and get them low. But how are you going to pick the guy from the second round who is going to become the star? Because that happens so infrequently, and it doesn't happen enough for me to sit here and give you a list of recommendations of basketball cards today. So basketball is out when we are looking at cards under $10 that could become worth $100 or more. So then I thought about baseball. Now, I think in order to get a card that's really going to go up in value like that, what you have to do is you have to find a situation where a player is not currently playing, where they haven't seen the field, where they haven't seen the pro field, right? Maybe they're in baseball, maybe they're in the minors. But you have to find a situation where the player has not really seen the pro field very much. And then they get the opportunity, to get onto the pro field, and then they have immediate success. That's how, you can see that 10x type return on a card. It's possible in baseball. It's very possible in baseball, because in baseball, a thing to do is prospecting. You can get a set like Bowman Chrome or Bowman Draft, and you can get some of the guys where it's their first Bowman card. They're not in the pros yet. They're still in the minors. These guys are prospects, but they're prospects who you feel good about. And you're like, I could pick up this guy. I could take a chance on this guy. And if this guy makes it to the majors and becomes the star that I think he could be, I could get a 10x or greater return on that guy. And that is absolutely possible to do in baseball. But it is also extremely difficult to know who those guys are and to pick those guys out from the crowd. And I am not going to sit here with confidence today and give you names of baseball prospects under $10 who I think you should buy. I am not as confident in the fact that I could pick those out, nor honestly anybody could pick those out, because the baseball experts, just look at the draft in baseball. There are so many players selected high in the draft every single year in baseball that never pan out, that come into the league, with so much hype, and then they never pan out. And that's just the way of life in baseball. But from a sports card investing standpoint, it's really difficult, to look at those prospects, and especially the prospects that are undervalued, because there's always a few hot prospects every year, but those guys everybody's chasing, and those guys, their cards are already going to be worth over $10 for probably a lot of the cards that you would want from those guys. So you're really having to pick the prospects that most people aren't aware of and pull those guys out. And that's a challenge. So I'm not saying it can absolutely be done. Some people are good at it, but it's difficult to do. So that is not where I'm going to go with this episode. And I was sitting on my couch last Sunday night and I was thinking about this episode and I'm like, man, where am I going to find these cards that I can tell the audience that I think have a chance to 10x? And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the Pittsburgh Steelers play the New England Patriots. And the thought that went through my head was, man, Roethlisberger looks old. He looks old. This guy he doesn't look the same. And granted, I recognize it was the first game. I'm sure I'm overreacting. I'm sure the Steelers will end up being okay this year. But how long does this guy have left? He cannot have that long left. And so then I thought to myself, well, who's the backup? Well, it's Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph was an Oklahoma State QB who a couple of years ago was fantastic in college. This guy actually was one of the favorites, kind of in a group for the Heisman going into his last year in college, and he didn't end up, making it, to the Heisman ceremony, but he still had a really good year. He can throw the ball around. He's a great player. He's a young guy. And I think the Steelers like him a lot. In fact, the Steelers like him so much that they just traded away his backup. So they just traded away their third round guy or their third string guy. And I think it really shows the Steelers have a commitment to Mason Rudolph. He's got a chance. And with how Roethlisberger looked, Rudolph may not be that far away from getting into a game. It could happen this year. If it doesn't happen this year, I could see Roethlisberger potentially retiring at the end of the season and Rudolph becomes a starter. Maybe it happens a year or two from now. But I still think Mason Rudolph is in prime position to become a starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers someday. And the moment that happens, his cards will go up tremendously. And if he sees the field and has success, if he and the Steelers come out with some momentum and he's slinging the ball around, it will easily 10x his card prices. So that is the opportunity. And it kind of dawned on me like it's the backup quarterbacks in football. It's the backup young backup quarterbacks in football who have kind of been forgotten about a little bit by the fans and by the sports card collectors because they haven't seen the field. They haven't been on the field very much and they had been somewhat forgotten about. So I think Mason Rudolph right now is a great buy. Where would I look for the cards for under $10 for Mason Rudolph? Maybe his Contenders Optic Rookie of the Year auto. That is going right now for around $10. His Contenders Optic Rookie of the Year auto. He was, I think, a rookie in 2018. So these are 2018 cards. Also, his 2018 Prism Green rookie card or his 2018 Prism Red, White, and Blue rookie card. Those are parallels within the Prism series. Those are each going for around $8.50. So those would be areas that you could go for under $10 to get some pretty good quality Mason Rudolph rookie cards and sit on those and let's see if he becomes a starter down the road. What about Terry Bridgewater? Remember Terry Bridgewater? Remember that guy? Let me remind you, Terry Bridgewater, he was drafted in 2014. He was a super high draft pick and he went on to be Rookie of the Year. Don't forget, Terry Bridgewater was Rookie of the Year. And then don't forget, the following year from Minnesota, Terry Bridgewater went to the Pro Bowl. As a second-year player. The guy was legit. And then the guy blew out his knee and he missed 2 seasons. He missed 2 seasons after that. And that completely changed his career trajectory. But now he's in New Orleans. He's the backup to Drew Brees. And the Saints seem to like him. They're paying him pretty good to stick around in New Orleans and be the backup for Drew Brees. He's still a relatively young guy. And how much time does Brees have left? Now, I will tell you, Brees looked damn good in his opener. And honestly, he looked kind of like Brady in the fact that he looked a little bit timeless. So, Brees could very easily be around for another 3 or 4 seasons. And if that's the case, will Bridgewater be who they turn to? Maybe not if it's that far out, because they may go at that point. Bridgewater will probably be 30, and they'll go after a young guy at that point to come up instead of Bridgewater. However, if anything happens to Brees in the next season or two, injury, Or maybe even just a surprise retirement. Maybe the Saints make the Super Bowl this year and Brees decides he's going to retire, go out on a high note after the year. I think Bridgewater is then your quarterback in New Orleans. And if that's the case, he's in an absolutely great situation. His cards right now are pretty cheap because people have kind of forgotten about him. I would recommend getting a 2014 Prism autograph of Terry Bridgewater. You can get these numbered to 100 or less. These are his rookie cards, 2014 Prism rookie card autos numbered to 100 or less for right around $10. Those are good cards to buy on the chance that he does get a starting role someday. And maybe if it's not with the Saints, maybe it's with somebody else. Maybe someone trades for him and wants him as their starter. So another guy who is a new guy this year, new rookie in the league, Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham of the Patriots. Bill Belichick really likes this guy. In fact, a few weeks ago, Bill Belichick released one of their other backups, Brian Hoyer, who's a really, really experienced, longtime NFL veteran backup. And Belichick let him go because he really believes that Stidham is the real deal and that Stidham is going to be a good quarterback for them. Brady is 42. I know he looks great, but he is 42, and the Brady show cannot continue for too terribly much longer. I think they are going to groom Stidham. I think Stidham will be the starter in New England within the next few years, and I think when that happens, his cards are going to go crazy. Now, he is just a rookie this year, so far, all that is out are a few initial sets. You can pick up his Contenders Draft college ticket or bowl ticket, or you can pick up one of his Contenders Draft game day autos for right around $10 right now. You can also pick up his Prism Draft Silver Refractor for right around $6 to $7, kind of in that range right now. So those would be a couple of cards of his I would think about, or you could simply wait until a little bit later in the season when some of the actual NFL sets come out, like when the real Prism comes out in his NFL jersey. That might be, or the real Contenders comes out where he's in his NFL jersey. Those would actually be better cards to get and hold on to for the long term. But I think that there are some values there for him under $10. How about Ryan Finley of the Bengals? So I talked about Ryan Finley. I actually did an episode about a month ago where I told you that I thought Ryan Finley was actually a really sneaky good buy statistically. And then I did that episode before the preseason started. And then the preseason started, and Ryan Finley had a fantastic preseason. And I actually had a lot of people messaging me saying, whoa, you were right on that Ryan Finley pick. This guy's the real deal. Andy Dalton, the fans in Cincinnati are not super in love with that guy. If Cincinnati gets off to a rough start, they're already 0-1. If they get off to a rough start at some point in time, do they decide to give Ryan Finley a chance? I think fan pressure will mount this year. If they get off to a rough start, I think fan pressure will mount to make a change at the quarterback position. It is possible we could see Ryan Finley sometime this year. If not sometime this year, maybe sometime within the next couple of years. I think he's a good buy. His Contenders Draft college ticket, he's a rookie this year, right? So we're talking 2019 cards. His Contenders Draft college ticket, as well as his bowl ticket, and his game day auto cards are all going for right around $8 right now. Those would all be cards I would pick up from the Contenders Draft Series. Or you could go to the Prism Draft Series, and his silvers in Prism Draft are going for about $6. Or just like Jarrett Stidham, you could simply wait on him until some of the NFL logo sets come out this year, and then buy like a Contenders or a Prism or an Optic with his pro jersey on. Those would be maybe better buys for the long term. How about Nate Sudfeld? Nate Sudfeld is the backup quarterback in Philly. He was drafted in 2016. The Eagles really like this guy. He actually broke his wrist and was out for a lot of the preseason. He's now actually back at practice as of this week. But the Eagles held on to him and declared him their second string quarterback and said, we're going to wait for you. We want you to be the backup. We think you are the next best guy on this team to Carson Wentz. And we know that Carson Wentz has had some serious injury trouble the last couple of seasons. Now, Wentz is a young guy, so if Wentz stays healthy, Sudfeld will never see the field, right? And so Sudfeld may be this guy who ends up just kind of always in a backup role. But with all of these guys, we're taking a chance that there's an opportunity for them to get onto the field. And with Nate Sudfeld, he could have that opportunity if Wentz continues to be injury prone. and goes down with an injury sometime this year. So you can get Nate Sudfeld's 2016 his NFL jersey, Contenders rookie ticket auto. So his not Contenders draft, but regular Contenders, his rookie ticket auto for about $10. I think that's a decent buy just to see what happens with him and Carson Wentz. And then you have Nick Mullins of the 49ers. You may remember Nick Mullins. He actually played a lot of last year. He played the second half of the season for the 49ers. Garoppolo went down with injury. And then the 49ers actually had a lot of injury issues at quarterback last year. Nate Mullins went into last season as I think the fourth or fifth string quarterback for the 49ers on the practice squad. By the end of the year, started the last several games for the 49ers. And he had a pretty decent year. His numbers were pretty good for a rookie quarterback who was starting his first set of games. Garoppolo's back, so I don't know when Mullins will see the field again, but he showed enough where I feel like it's probably worth taking a chance that he sees the field someday again for either the 49ers or maybe some other team. For him, I would look to his 2018. He was a 2018 rookie. I would look to his 2018 Select. I would go to the Select series, and you can get his cards that are numbered to 75 or less. There's Select has a bunch of different parallels, and any of them numbered to 75 or less. If you can get those for less than $10, I would. I've seen some of them that are going at out of 75 that are going for $8 on eBay. If I look at sales history, right? So you can also, by the way, get his Select autograph, 2018 Select autos, and those seem to be going for around $8 as well. So those are a couple of cards of that guy I would buy. A couple of other guys that might be worth taking a chance on or looking at, maybe a little bit of a longer shot, but how about Easton Stick? Easton Stick of the Chargers. They drafted Easton Stick this year. He was a fairly low draft pick. But Phillip Rivers is older. Phillip Rivers is one of these, longtime veteran QBs. He's not going to be around for a lot longer. He still looks pretty good right now. If something happens with him, perhaps Easton Stick is the guy. Now, my only question there is if Phillip Rivers sticks around for 3 or 4 more seasons, are the Chargers really going to be committed to Easton Stick, or are they just going to go get another young guy? They could very well go get another young guy. I don't know. But I still think for less than $10, it's probably worth taking the chance on Easton Stick. Since he's a rookie this year, there's not a lot of cards out for him, but you can get his 2019 Contenders Draft college ticket autos for about $6 or $7. Seems like a good buy. Or you could wait, as like with some of these other 2019 rookies, you could wait till a little bit later in the year when more of the cards in their actual NFL jerseys come out, and then buy from one of those sets like Optic or Contenders or Prism as they come out later in the year for NFL, or Select is another one you could buy as well. How about the Panthers' backup QB situation? They've got 2 kind of interesting guys who are backups to Cam Newton. They have Kyle Allen, which is a guy who they drafted or maybe signed as a free agent coming out of the draft last year, 2018. And he's shown some flashes. They seem to like him okay. Now, I'm a little bit worried about him because then this year they drafted Will Grier, which makes me think that they're not super committed to Kyle Allen. But nonetheless, Kyle Allen maybe has potential to land somewhere. Kyle Allen's 2018 Contenders Draft college ticket auto is going for about $7 or $8. 2018 college draft Contenders college ticket auto, $7 to $8. And then there's Will Grier, right? Will Grier is the guy they drafted this year. Will Grier is a guy I like a lot. I actually think Will Grier, the analytics suggest that Will Grier could go on to a really good NFL career. So I do think Will Grier is a guy to buy. He's a 2019 rookie. So there are, again, not a lot of sets out of him yet, but you can get the 2019 Contenders Draft game day ticket cracked ice. So not an auto. You can't get an auto of Will Grier for under $10, but you can get his Contenders Draft game day ticket cracked ice. If you see one of those pop up on eBay, there's only 23 of them, so they don't come out too often. But if you see one of those pop up on eBay, they've gone for around $10. So you could grab one of those. I think that'd be a good buy for him. And then when some of the NFL sets come out later this year, look for him as well. Final guy I will mention. This guy's kind of been popular as a sneaky investment. I've heard some of the folks on my Discord channel talking about him, and that is Josh Rosen of the Dolphins. And I'm a little skeptical of this guy's potential because, first of all, I don't think he looked great with Arizona. Second of all, I think he's gone to now an even worse situation with the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins look bad, and I believe they are probably tanking, and they are probably going to go use a high pick in the draft next year to get a quarterback, unless they see something really special from Josh Rosen this year. So I don't know that Josh Rosen is really going to pan out. However, his card prices are pretty low. And maybe it is worth taking a chance because maybe he does actually show something this year. And I think at some point, he will become the starter this year. Fitzpatrick will be out. He will be the starter. At some point this year, I think when the season's officially over for the Dolphins, and they're out of the playoffs and all that, they'll start starting him as we get to the second half of the season. And you can I would look for Josh Rosen. I would look to Optic. 2018, that was his rookie cards. 2018 Optic, rated rookie cards. You can get those numbered to 199 or less for less than $10. So I would look at the various parallels of the 2018 Optic rated rookie Josh Rosen's. For example, his card number to 149 recently went for about $7 on eBay. So I would pick up a card like that of Josh Rosen. So those are guys I would be buying for less than $10 that I think give you a chance of a $100 plus return. Now, I will tell you, a lot of the guys I just mentioned are probably not going to pan out. This is a high risk type of investment. You are investing in hopes that not only will these guys see the field, but that once they see the field, they will actually perform well and win the starting duty for the long term. That's a risk. But I gave you some guys that I think have a real shot. And so even if a couple of them turn out to be the guy who can actually do that, it could provide a really good ROI for you overall. So these are guys I'm excited about. These are guys I'm going to buy. And these are all guys who are under $10 who I think have the chance of really becoming special football card investments. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Don't forget about the contest. One of those cards I just mentioned can be yours. Whichever one you want, anything from the list, you pick it out. It's your card for free if you win my contest. And again, all you have to do is make sure you have subscribed. Give me a review. I would love that as well. But make sure you've subscribed on YouTube or podcasts. And then go over to my website, sportscardinvestor.com. Look for the box that says get free sports card investing tips by email. Put your email in there and you will automatically be entered into that contest. And guys, I am working on some other great episodes. I have mentioned a couple of times that there are some baseball episodes coming out soon, and those are coming out soon. So just wait for those. And then an interesting topic that was suggested by one of my viewers on my Discord channel, which, by the way, guys, you got to join the Discord channel. And it's totally free and allows you to chat with other people who watch the show about sports card investments. One of the guys on that channel said, hey, let's look at whether it's a good idea to invest in players before they go in the Hall of Fame. You got some big Hall of Fame classes coming up this year, especially like in basketball, right? You get some big name guys about to go into the Hall of Fame. So if you buy their cards today, are they going to see a bump by going into the Hall of Fame? And we're going to be analyzing that. We're going to be looking at that in detail across all sports going back for the last several years. And that is an episode that is on its way to you soon. So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining for another episode of Sports Card Investor, and we'll talk to you soon.